So, DNF or did not finish books. How do we feel about not finishing a book? Because from the time, excuse me, from the time I started reading when I was like little, till the time I was about, I want to say I was a senior in high school. I think I went that entire time. I take it back. I was a freshman in high school. Because now I remember what book it was and why I stopped reading it. So, then get down if you're going to do the bunny beats. Lana wanted to qualm me with bunny feet, so she's my cat. So, sorry. The book was called Winter. I do not know the author, and I do not remember much except for the fact that it took a place in Australia, and the girl's name was Winter. And I can't remember if it was historical fiction or not, but I remember the pacing being very, very slow. And, it was like she was on this journey or whatever. I can't remember if she was like a runaway or what it was, but I felt like the way it was going was like I wasn't able to follow it very well. I don't know how far I got into it. I know I gave it a chance, like a decent chance. But as far as I got into it, it just was one of those things where it felt like it wasn't going anywhere. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to. And I think that was the very first time I ever put a book down and did not finish. Until that point when I was 14, I don't think I'd never, no. I'm forgetting all the books that I that I never did finish. I think it was Ella Enchanted in 7th grade that I never did finish. That was like the first book. I know I keep changing my mind, but I swear. I don't know what it was that I didn't really like it, but I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It was a long book. I don't know if I just couldn't get into it or what. I really don't remember. There was that. There was Winter, freshman year of high school, and then there's this book, senior year. I don't remember what it was about, but I remember the cover art being like this famous, like, I don't know if you want to call it a painting, but like, it's like this Thanksgiving table from the 50s, and it's got like all the family members sitting at it, and like it's clearly celebrating Thanksgiving, and the book was about like, this is always my fault. Excuse me. There was this thing where it was like, this is a trope I hate so much. Let's make everyone super insufferable and just put them all together in a family. Because sometimes it works. And the chaos is good, and it's funny as hell, and it's, but the one character that I can really remember, I think she was like a freshman in college. She was in college. And she was in a relationship with like a much older professor. and it was made into this big deal, I think, by her parents. Either that or they, like, ignored it or something, but just everyone had these weird, and I wonder if it was supposed to be more like quirks, which, I don't know. Everyone was, and then I kind of wonder, was this satire? Because I wonder if it was satire now. Because I know there's books that are satire over the things. Maybe so. I don't really know. But I remember I don't even think I got like 40 pages into it. This was again a long book, and I knew if it was that slow now, it was gonna be bad. Like, I was like torturing myself. I was like, screw this. So I returned it to the library, and from then until I think a couple years ago, I never put any book I put in my hands down. I never, did not finish them. Because I have this mentality sometimes, which I still do with some books, where you keep kind of giving it another chance, because something does happen, or there is something suspenseful, or you want to find out, or whatever about it. So you keep going. And I did this for every single book, and I can't tell you, over this decade that I did this, I read amazing books. There were amazing books. There were good books. There were okay books. And then there were terrible books that I just... It was like you have to convince yourself, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. If I keep reading this, it's going to get better. And I don't know why that was my mentality for so many books that did not deserve this. And it wasn't until really this past year that I started really putting down books if I didn't like them. And I guess my big thing is always like, well, if I bought it, isn't it going to be a waste? Or if I check this out from the library, isn't this going to be a waste or something? I don't know. But, it wasn't until this past year that I really started just putting them down even after a couple pages, like I did with The Light Pirate last month, and was like, no. If this is so... Because, one of my big tropes that I don't know if that's considered a trope. Pet peeve, I guess, is stuff that's really, really wordy. And it's just do they want to hit, a certain page limit? Or is that their style of reading? I don't know. But, please just tell me the story. I don't know why we need to... Because there was this one book toward the end of last year. I think it was, November, December, that I don't remember the title. I can't remember the author. I can picture what the book looked like. I think it was called No One You Know. And it was by an author I had read whose books had been wordy. But I think one of them was kind of good. I don't remember. But, I think I was only on the second page or something. And it went into this whole tangent of this woman was, I think, looking for her sister in someplace in South America or Mexico, somewhere down there, and she's just looking at this random man and saying maybe he's is a soliloquy, not really saying it, but it's written out in the book, maybe he was thinking this or thinking about this to eat or doing this and did it. And there's just this whole tangent about this random man, and I'm like, I don't care. If you're gonna tell me the story, tell me the story. Because you did not just captivate me, I am done. And I was like, nope. And I must not have been alone because, again, last year more so in particular than any other year. Or just starting last year. I should say starting last year. I went through and, this wouldn't necessarily be before I bought a book, but if I got into a book, I was kind of like, oh man, this really isn't that great or as great as I thought it would be. I wonder what other people are thinking without like looking at the actual, excuse me, reviews themselves in Goodreads. I just looked at the stars, or like at the top where you'll see 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. And then I'll be like, oh, I was so not alone. Because with the no one you know or whatever, I looked it up and people were like, oh my god, this just went on and on and on and whatever. Or like, I think nothing really got resolved. Or it was something and I'm like, dodged a bullet or whatever. Like, I don't know how I just all of a sudden put books down, but I think it's kind of like I'm a type of person, I do not reread. With the exception of like a couple books in childhood, I haven't reread them now, but like I reread them like a million times then, but I don't reread now. Because my thinking is more so, life's too short to read something you've already read, I guess. But like, I just, there's so many books out there I want to read in my life, and I don't want to reread a bunch. Not that necessarily you would have to reread a bunch to be a rereader or whatever. But like, I don't know. But like, in this past year alone, and I didn't keep track of it, and I wish I had, because this is the very first year, 2026, where I actually, I have Book Murray to log my books, to see how many I've read a month, and what have you, or ones that I did not finish. Like last month, I didn't finish 2 books, and one was in a matter of 2 pages, and the other, I made it almost halfway through, but that was a crime series thing that was the last book, and I was just so lost, and I was like, this is my fault. But like, yeah, I just wish that like I had better luck with books sometimes, because I don't know if it's just more so this last year that I've almost gone for a no mercy approach, where it's like, most of the time, where I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no. Because it seems like it sets the tone so quickly if it's so wordy at the beginning. Like, why would it get less wordy? Like, it's not going to get less wordy. Sorry, but it's not. And, I don't know, it's just, I'm not sure if it was because sometimes I wonder if a book's been on the bookshelf for too long for a reason, in terms of TBR, because I'll do this thing where I kind of, quote-unquote, force myself to look at my bookshelf and be like, what's been here for at least a few years? Like, let's look at those books and just read them or something, because almost like I'm tired of looking at them or something. And, I don't know. I wish, I don't know if I'm not good at picking out books sometimes, or if it's just kind of the luck of the draw, or what it is. But like, I wish I didn't, quote-unquote, have to put so many books down. But it just feels like now more than ever I do. And, I think I need to be more careful in the future of the books I do, choose when I am, like, specifically shopping for books, not necessarily checking it out of the library, because, like, if I don't like a book from the library, or I don't finish a book from the library, I don't really feel as bad, because I checked that out, I didn't pay for it, you know? But, like, I just hate how many duds I seem to come across these days. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's something that's been written in the last 5 years or something, but I've noticed that I just don't have time to read through things or books that don't hold my interest anymore. For the most part, there's some times where I do kind of power through it a little more than I probably should because it's interesting enough. And I guess if it's interesting enough, you're gonna finish it.